I'm trying to coexist, exist. Yeah, I'm trying to coexist, exist. I'm trying to coexist.
We are back with more Ethic Skill Podcast. Today we have Taniyah Creates. She wrote a wonderful book at only 16 years old, Unlocking Your Ecstatic Energy. What is this all about? Reaching in to find joy and happiness. What Taniyah Creates shows us in this book is that you can be afraid, you can still doubt yourself, but at the end, when you reach deep inside and you start learning who you are and you start identifying that a lot of the fears that come in your mind are just a product of your imagination, of things that never happened, of your own fear manifesting in different ways. You decide to live your life regardless of the fear that you have inside. That's what this book is teaching us. Bravery. Reaching into your inner bravery. And it's not an easy task to do, because in order to do that, we got to be sincere with ourselves. We got to be honest with our vulnerabilities. Don't allow that to make you procrastinate for what you really want to do in your life. Although she has anxiety, you see her in book signing fairs, you see her competing in the track and field, knowing that every step is going to be painful, but every step forward she takes is a step for growth and a step for her own understanding on how to unlock that ecstatic energy that we all need in our life. That's what we're going to be talking today at Ethic Skill Podcast. Do not forget to subscribe, comment, like, and let's start.
Unlock your ecstatic energy.
Here it is in all its glory. So Unlocking Your Ecstatic Energy, it's a self-help book that I wrote, we're beginning to write when I was 13 years of age. I officially published it at 16 years old. And it's really just about taking matters into my own hands, like that bravery that you were mentioning before. It's kind of just like unleashing this vulnerability of like exposing myself to the world, making sure that I'm comfortable with sharing my story. And that story that I share in my book is about my anxiety, dealing with how to, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, that's kind of like where it's set. That's where it took place. Like my anxiety of just being anxious, like being isolated from the world, being isolated from my peers. And I think that I was able to just write down things that I was feeling. And then eventually I just took tools from mindfulness, practices I would watch on YouTube, or my mom, she was an avid reader on a lot of different self-help books. So I took a lot of inspiration from those. And I especially took inspiration from the Becoming documentary by Michelle Obama. And at that time I was 13 years old, and just seeing someone who looked like me, who was just in this high plateau of life, and the way that she presented herself to the world, I thought that, I can be as brave as her, as you're saying, that fierceness, and expose myself to the world in a book. And that's why I wrote Unlocking Your Ecstatic Energy, because I felt I was unlocking something, unleashing something had to unhatch within me. And I think writing is the most vulnerable thing you can do. And then publishing is another thing that is putting your stamp on it, right? Even if it's not perfect, grammatical errors or whatnot, it's still something vulnerable that you want to share with the world that people can find benefit towards. So that's kind of my spiel, I guess, on unlocking your ecstatic energy.
Nice. Kevin. We have also Kevin in the house. You already know who Kevin is, the most famous guy at the Ethics Guild podcast. Everyone loves Kevin, by the way. Kevin, you have any question for Taniyah?
Yeah, what was one of the what's one of the stories that you go through within your book? Because a lot of teenagers when growing up have that anxiety. So reading a book from that age and being in the perspective of that teenager from back then into publishing it when you were 16, it's like the literal POV. That somebody might be going through, and they could also pick up the book when they're anxious or something like that. They want to unlock their potential. So I guess what's one of those lessons that you went through in the book?
Yes. So in my book, I have three phases. I have changing your mindset, I have self-love as phase two, and then for phase three, I have conquering reality. Now, a story that I don't think I put in the book, but I think it would be helpful to put in like another version, would be like my experience doing track and field. So I was in high school, I did track and field, and that was very nerve-wracking for me. Like, hearing the gun go bow and then like running and stuff, like that was really a lot for me. And like track and field is kind of like an individual sport, but you're still relying on a team. So when we did relay races, like, I was a second runner. So it's like, okay, now the first runner is coming in hard. And now I have to like get the baton and like, a lot of anxiety kind of built up from that. And I think in a way, like my book, like those phases of like changing your mindset, okay, what am I doing when I'm running on the track? I have to make sure that I'm in the mode of a runner. I'm in the mode of, winning. And for me, sometimes I'm not really that competitive person. I think I just wanted to try something new, right? And I didn't really detail that much about my book, but I do want to like talk about that experience because that's something that I think that a lot of teenagers may feel. May not be in a sports setting, but it could be even presenting a thing for in school for a project. It could be different hormonal changes that they're going through, retiring non-growth friends. Like there's so many different changes that are happening in our teenage lives that, it can just spark this anxiety that we may not even understand, may not even have the verbiage or language of understanding what anxiety actually is, because it can look so different for other people. And I think that I just brought that example up because my anxiety really showed up a lot during like track and field and like just, being exposed running and then just letting it out, letting all that, anxiousness, especially when the gun is going pop. It's like that's how I feel anxiety. It feels like that. You're amping up this, energy and then, but for me, unlocking your static energy is kind of like that contentness, that peacefulness, a rise of like it's kind of like it comes to a halt, like all of that anxiety, just being content with that because happiness isn't as this like artificial, like, you just feel ready to go. I'm ready, like SpongeBob says, it's sometimes you're just like, content, you're peace at what you're doing. And when you get into that mode of like peace, like I did cross country as well, I think I like that better than sprinting because I'm able to pace myself and really get into that mode of peace. And that's what I think my ecstatic energy like really shows out from. And, a lot of teenagers can probably have pull from different experiences of what they feel from anxiety, but that's something that I would like to share my story.
Do you think anxiety is good or bad?
Mm.
And what are the pros and cons of both sides?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because, I feel like I can describe it as a negative, but I don't think that it is. I don't think it's inherently a negative feeling. I don't really think that our feelings should be having inherently bad, like, definition to it. Like, for example, like we have happiness, we have fear, we have sad, envy, jealousy, but these are just natural feelings to us. I think it's the action that we place on these things that can make them or seem to society inherently bad, but I don't think that any feeling or at all is inherently bad. So I wouldn't place anxiety as a negative connotation. I think anxiety is normal. Anxiety can be good. I think I actually learned in my psychology class one thing was like it's sometimes good to have a little bit of OCD because if you have a little bit of OCD, you're getting on track of your assignments, you're getting there. But like anxiety can also push you to do great things. It can push you to like, move past that. Like, for example, my anxiety pushed me to write a book that I didn't even think was possible. So I think that me detailing, my experiences, it came out to be something good. Objectively, society would view it as. So I wouldn't place a negative connotation. Neither would I say it's a positive thing, but I think that I can take a more optimistic spirit towards anxiety. So
It's
yeah.
like anxiety is like that first breakaway stage or that first breakthrough stage before getting into an ecstatic energy, possibly. Like you gotta go through a little bit of discomfort or a little bit of like tensions inside before going through a breakthrough.
Exactly. I feel like even for it to just feel real, like sometimes you have to go through something, some type of strife. I don't know, something to like, I don't know, it makes the experience even more worthwhile. Like, you went through that and then you're like, okay, I came better out it on the other side. So
Yeah. I agree. Anxiety is definitely an emotion, a sensation that can also wake up something that you didn't know existed in you too. It's how you want to perceive it. It's also makes you aware of things that you are really worried about that could be emotional, but also logically, right? You can be afraid of the future because you don't know what that future looks like. And your anxiety will always think and overthink about like, what are we doing? What are we doing to prepare that? But also that anxiety can also say, well, I am going to take action. to prepare for that unexpected event and start doing something relevant, constructive, and I see that you do that. I'll give you a good example for what you were saying. It's like you were running track.
Mhm.
That's an excellent coping mechanism because think about it. Anxiety is all this energy, right?
Mhm.
It's hitting you from every single angle. And even though you were scared to think about the pressure you put on yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I gotta run, I gotta wait for the gun to,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
suddenly you didn't freeze, you didn't fight, or you didn't flight. What you did is you took
Mhm.
action. You still
Yeah.
did something. And I believe that is one of the key things, the exposure to gather more information when you have anxiety. It's like, what information are you going to gather outside of anxiety so you can actually go back and say, okay, I can feel this way, but I'm noticing that my anxiety doesn't dictate what I can possibly do, even when I feel that way. And
Yes.
I like what you do because, like, I'll give. I'm curious to know a little bit about when you were running track and field.
Mhm. Mhm.
What do you think caused your pressure? Because this kind of pressure also inspire you to pressure yourself to write this amazing book too.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
my question is that where you think this pressure generated?
Mm. I feel like it's really just like a really hyper awareness of self. Like you're just really focusing on like how am I going to get to that other side of the track? Like if I'm running a 100-meter, for example, it's straight down. It's like you're thinking about your other teammates. You're really just hyper aware of like yourself. I think that anxiety, like it builds up that pressure of like, oh, I have to like, focus on my form. I have to focus on my acceleration. I have to focus on my start position. It's like so much things that's going on in your mind. And I think that's what builds up that initial pressure of like trying to just be better. Because I think in track specifically, it's like you're trying to PR, you're trying to get your personal record, you're trying to beat you. It's you against you. But I think that that can also be a lesson towards life. You're always trying to be better than yourself. And even if some people have unhealthy comparisons to other people in the world, inevitably it's really just against yourself because like we're growing each and every day. We're literally shedding layers of ourselves from our epidermis every single day. Like we're growing, and I think that that's a big pressure to have, to just feel like you have to constantly evolve. And for me, like I'm trying to be an ambitious person, right? And I think that like that my anxiety kind of pushes me to do that as well, which is why it can be a positive thing. And again, like we were saying again, it could also be a negative just because it's like when am I going to be content with self? Like when am I going to just say this is it? But there is no it. But there's when you're trying to like just do so much and even like my voice and my pace of talking, like I've got that a lot. And in my communications class, they were like, I just speak really fast. And I think that my anxiety also like it's like it can't just like slow down, even my arms are like it's a lot that happens. Like, and then I like what you said about the nervous system, like parasympathetic and sympathetic, what's happening, fight or flight stage. Like, I chose to fight in a sense because it's like you're trying to just get going, right? But it's like you can also like find it like you can be fleeing the scene if you're not like going past this uncomfortable state of anxiety. Like it can really either do good or do harm. I don't know. It's interesting.
It's like
I like
aware, right? It's like the more you become aware of yourself, the more you become aware of the impact of self.
Hmm.
It's it's like you can see the ripple effects of it, right?
Hmm.
So I think the anxiety is when you become aware and you try to grow, because ultimately, if like that saying, ignorance is bliss is
Hmm.
bliss. It's when you're ignorant, you're not really looking to grow or looking to be better, right? And when
Yeah.
you're just going through. But when you're aware, you look for growth. You look for the details in the self to basically it's like carving. Like you're literally like carving like Michelangelo. Like you're carving your
Hmm.
marble, and
Hmm.
it's like shedding the pieces. It's kind of like painful. Like
Yeah.
for example, for my anxieties is pausing too long in my sentences. But before I used to always say ifs, and do a lot of filler words. But now I become aware where I just do like a slight little pause rather
Hmm.
than saying if
Yeah.
things like that. But but those are little stages. It's like now I'm on another stage where it's just I have that little gap silence, and it took me a while to get used to the awkwardness in the gaps.
Yeah.
But it's like little fillers that go through it.
Right. That's what I'm trying to like work on. Just trying to like pace myself so that I can just understand and like make it transferable for other people to also just understand what I'm saying without like rushing past things or like get it. Cause like again, like that could also like ramp up like my nervous system, like, you know, constantly in a rush. Like let's calm down. Let's come to some type of, you know, state of calm. So
You said something very critical about unhealthy comparisons, and I do like the fact that you don't fall victim to this, because normally when we have unhealthy comparisons, you got to just think about the perspective that you have never walked a day in that person's shoes and vice versa, and you don't know the trials and tribulations, the resources another person has. So it's the worst thing you can do to yourself. If you value yourself, never try to compare your value with somebody else, because everyone's value is unique. But also I do see, and this is coming from the practice that I do, I see a lot of you know, people unfortunately having the rule that things have to be almost perfect or perfect. And I believe that's the number one rule that causes a lot of these internal pressures. Because, like, for example, in your case, you're competitive with yourself. You're not harming yourself. You just want to better yourself every day. But like you said, what is the finish line?
yeah.
But the question is, why should there be a finish line? Why isn't, like, instead of having just trying to go to one narrow path with one door, why not open the possibilities that you have infinite doors? That it's okay to step to any of them, because no matter what you do, you're always going to gather knowledge, and that's your biggest win. Even if you fail, you're going to gather that experience, and that walk in life is going to serve you. And also think about failure as that stepping stone to resilience. And you are such a young lady that, to be honest, you have such a bright future, because you've been able
I
to
appreciate
take,
that.
you've been able to take not only your fear, not only your anxiety, but you've been able to also be honest with yourself. That's how you start. This is who I am, and I'm okay with being this today. And my comparison is, how was I yesterday? Am I better today?
Right.
And then, you know, that's my question. How often do you celebrate when you measure yourself to that past and you say, like, oh my God, like, for example, you just posted on LinkedIn, I'm a sophomore now.
Right. Right.
Celebration, right? You're embracing your true self and your full potential too. How do you feel every time you celebrate your victory?
Yeah. I definitely say like it takes a lot to even do that, like to, you know, celebrate what you're doing, you know, because sometimes you can just think like it's always like, oh, like maybe I should just stop. Like people, it's like no one really wants to hear what you're doing. No one really cares. Like just keep like just, you know, sometimes I don't really want to like, but then it's like you have to just get past that. So I think like I have to like acknowledge that I did do something. Like I did work hard to earn this. So like why not celebrate myself? Because if I don't, who's gonna do it for me? And it's not even just like validation looking for others. It's just that like appreciating the hard work. Because if I don't acknowledge that, I may forget about that. I may not even, for example, like that came in August, I think that was August 4th, and I had looked at my email. I was like, oh wait, let me talk about this. Like let me remember it for myself so that it kind of encourages me to, you know, remind myself to do better, like, and keep going for the next semester, because, you know, it's kind of documenting like what I'm trying to do, like why I joined, why I did, why I'm here in the first place. Why am I a university student? Why did I apply as a senior in high school? What, you know, it kind of reminds you of what you're doing. So I think that's what I feel. I feel accomplished, but it's like sometimes it is hard to say that because it's like with trying to be ambitious, it's like you're not really trying to say you feel like accomplished seems like you've done it all. And I don't want to feel accomplished. I just want to just propel myself forward. I just want to like acknowledge my wins for the present moment and then move on, if that makes sense. So I think documenting it helps with that, because now that I documented it, I can move on to the next thing. if that makes sense.
And definitely,
Mhm.
definitely makes sense because you also have to celebrate your pauses too.
Mm.
Because remember, for every stage of climbing a mountain, you also have to rest. You have to plan, you have to think, you have to also analyze what you're leaving behind. And I think that's also one of the hardest things in for any of us, It's like when you climb another summit, you have to your the luggage that all these tools you had in the luggage serve you to climb to that summit, but now there's a new summit. Now you need new tools, and there's some tools that are not going to be useful for you.
Mhm.
So you have to take them out of you have to be brave enough to know what they are, which one you have to remove. So now you can improve your tools for the next climb. And celebrating those pauses, I believe is what's the hardest for anyone that's ambitious.
Mhm.
Any one of us. Me and Kevin talk about it's like we can't stop, right? And but
Really?
you have to at
Right.
some point you have to, because how do you strategize if you don't
Yeah.
stop?
That is true. Yeah. You definitely have to have like those pauses, like you're saying, to like even reflect. Like sometimes I can't even like for example, today I put on my to-do list to write some poetry, but I was not in the mental capacity to write poetry. Like sometimes I may want to do it, but you have to give yourself time to think, have, like you said, have new experiences. I need to have something to pull from. I can't just like, that's how I think, like that's what makes us human, right? Like with AI, like maybe they're just pulling from humanness, but as a human, we need time, we need experiences, we need dialogue, we need things to pull from. So I really appreciated that you said that, because for creativity, you definitely need to have time alone. I think isolation and like also pulling from experience of what you're, in the social world, but there's a lot of things that we can generate experiences from that create beautiful things, if that makes sense. Like if we have time to ourselves, time to reflect, time to analyze, and also like that goes for accomplishments as well. Like maybe I needed time for that to soak in, for me to actually then talk about it. Maybe it's not an instant, congratulations for me. Maybe I need some time to like acknowledge my win. So I think that speaks volumes. Yeah.
There's this philosophy about Greek. It's a Greek philosophy about this god who pushes up a stone up the mountain. Um,
Oh, I
yeah,
think I know who this is. Yeah.
you're right. And he has to just imagine him being happy as he keeps pushing up the mountain and rolls back
Mhm.
down. And he pushes up the mountain. And he does that for basically
Mhm.
his charity. But how can he be so happy just pushing a stone up the mountain, right?
Right.
But like, what is it that makes him so happy pushing it? But that's the philosophy behind it. Like we all have a stone that we're pushing up the mountain. Hopefully, right? Hopefully, we all have that stone that we're pushing up the mountain. That's what gave that God the purpose. All right, so within that myth, my stone of my philosophy and my stone that I'm pushing up the mountain is human experiences connections with the camera, right? Like that's one of my stones. So you can do so much with the camera, and there's so many different avenues, so many different ways that you could utilize it, so many different techniques and abilities to have. I considered it my golden key, my golden stone uh, for it. um so what's one of the golden stones that you have that you're pushing up the mountain, and
Mhm.
that you will see that you're pursuing in your education, in life, something that you see yourself happily pushing up that maybe no one else might not understand, but you do.
Right. I feel like that's a really great way to like ask about like your purpose, right? Like what's like driving you? Like what's your motivation to keep going and like do these great things? I feel like for me, it just drives to like see how far I can take it. Like how far can I take this persona? Because for a long time when I was in middle school, I used to just say, I want to be sophisticated. Like that's like I just took on this persona of like I just wanted to feel that way. But I think that for me, it's like I want to also like contribute to society. I want to just be somebody. I want to be important. I also like that's something that kind of drives me. And also, sorry, my dog in the background. But there's also
Okay.
something that I learned. I took philosophy class this semester as well. So I feel like all of these things are just hitting, like sociology, philosophy, psychology, like hitting on a lot of things right now. But it's like it's interesting. I feel like for me, I just want to be better every day. And I just want to like continue to like fuel the dream that I had as a little girl, to just keep going, just to be better. Like I don't feel like I have a developed idea of like what that purpose is, but I know that there is something there. And I think that I'm just trying to find that each and every day. So I may not have this developed idea as of yet, but I know that if I keep going and keep searching for it, it'll become more apparent to me what it is I'm striving for. Because I know it's something to like give back to people. I love service. I love doing volunteer events. I love interacting with people, even though I may be reserved. But even things like this really fuels me, and it makes me wonder, like, what is it that's keeping you going? So I really like that question, because it kind of is getting me to think, like, what is it that is keeping me going? Why did I even like? And it kind of like, it's interesting, like to like try to view yourself from like this lens, like who is this person really, who is this person and why do they keep going? Because I feel like just as a person, I'm just trying to figure that out, and that's like the hardest question to answer, as a human, like trying to figure out what is your purpose and what is driving you. So yeah, I feel like I'm still searching for it, honestly.
And it could be multifaceted, right? Like the greats, they Michelangelo knew about biology, engineering, physics,
Yeah.
sculpting, art.
Yeah.
He knew about probably even knew about music too, right? Or did he make maybe? But
Right, maybe. Yeah.
yeah, there's just
Mhm.
just multifacets, right?
Yeah.
One thing I would say about Taniyah when I met her at the book signing, one
Mhm.
of the most beautiful things about her is her being okay with her vulnerability.
Mhm.
And like, for example, most people believe that being emotional or being a little sensitive about certain things, it's not it doesn't showcase a lot of power, but as a matter of fact, it does
Mhm.
showcase power. Because when you are okay with being vulnerable, you're
Mhm.
being sincere to who you are and why you feel the way you feel. And
Right.
that acceptance liberates you.
Mhm.
And it also shows the other people that how true and genuine you are about
Mhm.
yourself. And
Yeah.
one thing when I went to the book signing, I saw that in you. And this is the reason why I approached to you, not only because of the content of your book,
Mhm.
but also being how, and the word is not, in this case, is not even brave, is about being okay with how you feel about yourself and the environment and accepting what came in. And even though a few tears can come out, you were still standing there. So walk me through
Wow. Yeah,
that.
that hit me, honestly. Wow. Yeah, that's big, because I'm imagining what you're talking about, like me in that space, and like just feeling okay to experience your emotions, like that passion. Because people, I think I'm a part of student government, like at K University, and we had recent training, and we had a Gallup on like it's like a psychology thing, right? And they like, it was like basically like to like get to know like our personalities, like so that we were more comfortable with our executive board. And my 5 traits, I believe it was connectedness, harmony, um, a learner, relator, and I forgot the last one. I think it may have been determined. I'm not sure. But I think that connectedness is a big part of like what that was my number one, connectedness. I believe harmony was my second one and relator was my third one. So I think that connectedness being my first one makes like that's like one of my strengths. And I think that really spoke to what you were talking about, because I think I strive to like find human connection, find genuine like understanding, because we're all trying to grow, we're all trying to elevate. I feel like, and we need to be real with each other. I think that sometimes it's so easy to just like pretend and like put on this false persona and not really like getting true emotions out of people. Like, and I think social media has a lot to do with that. You just see like these false perceptions of people. And I wrote a recent poem is like, we love each other's ego. Like we love to like just see like this perfected version of people. And that kind of makes that what you were saying before earlier, like sometimes like that anxiety, it can be rooted in trying to be perfect, trying to put on this act of like of your humanness, when what we really strive for is to be real, to be connected, to have that's how real connection grows, by having genuine conversations and having real things happening. So that's kind of, I really like that, and that really resonated with me, because and it is like, for me it's like, dang, I don't want to cry. I didn't really expect to cry. I didn't want to cry, 'cause I'm like, sometimes it is seen as a weakness. It doesn't seem like I'm being strong. It doesn't seem like I know what I'm doing. I'm stumbling, I'm stuttering, like, who's gonna listen to me? I'm like a mess. But like, at the same time, it does, like you said, it shows power, because a lot of people are stifling their emotions. They're suppressing what's really within, and that is, sometimes it's hard for people to it comes out in different ways. And I think that for me to release that in that moment, it's like, it's better for me so that it doesn't get stuck and stagnant in my body, because stress and trauma can trap itself in the body, and it can show up in harmful ways. And I don't want to like ever stifle my feelings. I think that I've been fortunate enough to be able to express my feelings in my environment, with my family dynamic. And I think that that's, everyone isn't that fortunate for for that. But I think that that's what I want to promote to others, like to feel comfortable to do that, because it's important, and it's needed. It's needed for growth, and it's needed to understand yourself better as well.
I do think what you did was healthy too in a psychological realm, because think about if you contain all these emotions, what would it do later on? You will become implosive, right? So I this is where I believe you have the emotional intelligence and maturity to understand that if that's like putting atoms and adding atoms to an atomic bomb, you're accumulating them, right? At some point, it's going to have a nuclear reaction, and it's going to, reach not only to damage yourself, but to damage those around you. This is why I do believe that the day at the book signing, you showed real personality and real character, because although you were there and you had, you felt emotion. It wasn't that you were crying because you were sad. No, you were emotional to see the support, to see the people there listening to you. And then you stood up, you teared, but you never moved. You were still there. And let me tell you, that was the moment that I said, that is a genuine human being. That is the real validation of what a strong woman should look like.
Yeah, I definitely like your sentiments, like exactly, like seeing everyone like in the crowd. Like I think what really got me too is like everyone having their phones out recording. I'm like, whoa, like this is like this is scary. Like I'm not a famous person, like what's going on? Like I just wanted to like see, like just everyone's everyone's watching me. Like it's just it's a lot. And I think public speaking that's a lot. I think there's actually a phobia of public speaking. And I think it's like it was really scary for that part of it. Like people are like really listening intently, like you said, watching you, really understanding you, taking you in, because there's so many times where we have service level conversations, and finally people not even to say like finally, but like people are genuinely really interested to listen to what you have to say, and we're all here collective as a community. And this is something beautiful, sharing books, sharing knowledge, something that people are not doing as often. I think that that's amazing that people are coming together for this event, and inevitable. So like that was just like, that was a big moment for me. And I think that was a big moment to see and witness in real life, in real time. I think that's what created that, also that shield. It's like, wow, like this is a lot. This is big, but this is amazing. So I think a lot of gratitude came with those tears as well. Other than being like taken aback and nervous and anxious.
You're lucky Kevin wasn't with all his cameras there.
Yeah, right. I had like 3 angles.
Yeah, like this, that, yeah.
That was all the pores.
If you ever decide to come like to our studio, you'll see all the light. Kevin, like it looks like you'll be like, am I a rock star today?
Right. No, I get it.
This is so surreal, like a surreal experience to see yourself up on the stage and like have everybody listen to what you were talking about, to your book, listening about all the accomplishments and all the basically your victories and your wins. And they got inspired by it, which is really, really inspiring,
Yeah.
So it's like, how did it feel to see a piece of your dream come true? Like, that's just the tip of the iceberg right there.
Yeah. Like you were saying, it's like surreal, because like you don't ever really, I feel like like you, there's like something there, like there's a vision of you, like for me, I have this vision of like just like walking up a stage and like slick back ponytail and like I don't know, I've always had this vision since I was younger, like walking up to some stage, but I can't see it, I can't make out any faces in the crowd, I can't even make out what I'm wearing, I don't even know what's really happening, but it's like I still have this vision of like me wearing a suit with a slick back hair. I just always saw that as a little girl. But like you said, to see that snippet of like that dream come to life, like you don't even like, it's like you're believing it but you're not really understanding it. But I think that knowing something is stronger than belief is just like it can be stagnant, but like when you know something, you move into action and you really like you understand that, and I think that's big. And like having that snippet of like right like that reality come to life was like it was like crazy, honestly, because it's like I didn't really you don't really expect it, but you are expecting it because you put the action and the work into it. So it is really like a psychological contemplation, like what's going on, like your mind is making all these ideas, but when it actually comes into full surface, it's like you're not even like, it's like I'm prepared, but I'm not. Like I've been preparing myself, but was it a false identity that I was preparing for, or is this real? Like it kind of like, it plays a mind trick, honestly.
Like
Yeah.
it has its funny games, right? It's like it's a funny contradiction between the faith and believing,
Mhm.
and the doing, the process, and the actual like piece that goes into it, right? So it's like you have this piece where you're just working constantly
Yeah.
at something. For example, like writing the book, drafting it
Mhm.
down,
Mhm.
revising it,
Yeah.
drafting it, like revising the revision,
Right.
reading it to somebody else, then
Mhm.
revising one more time.
Right.
And it's like I know this book is gonna go somewhere, but
Mhm.
it's like the actions of each step along that was like the revisions. Like that was an act of faith. That's an act of belief. Like I know it's gonna be big.
Right.
Revise it again. Another act of faith. It's
Yep.
like, no, it's gonna be big.
Mhm.
Rise it again. Another act of faith. You know it's gonna be big. Then boom, you're on the stage.
Right.
And
It's
it's
just like,
like,
whoa, now like I have to know this is gonna be big. Like now I have to confront that reality. Like this is big. And I think
yeah,
that's like the hardest thing to like, to do. Like, yeah.
yeah,
I also have to admit also that your family was such a huge support in the
Mhm.
crowd. You know,
Mhm.
I had an opportunity to speak to your father.
Oh
Uh,
wow. Yeah.
he said he didn't know he didn't know I was gonna invite you,
Yeah.
and just talking to him, listening to the way he thought of you was
Mhm.
very invigorating.
Mhm.
And you know, speaking about your book, Kevin and I, we sometimes have book authors, and we talk about like a book is a piece of consciousness that we write on paper.
Mm.
When you wrote this book, where did your creativity how did your creativity challenge you to start
Yeah.
writing that book?
Yeah. I definitely think just like I was like on my like in my room, like on my desk, and I had started with loose leaf paper, so I was writing it down like on my hand, like handwriting it first. And I think that just like letting, I think it was in May, yeah. So just like kind of like springtime, just letting like the whatever was happening during that time, I was just like allowing my thoughts to just go, right? And just flow. So I was just I don't even know, like, honestly, what state of mind that I was in at 13 years old. I just was like, just being ambitious, honestly. And I remember the first thing I did to make it really come to life was I went on Canva and I made the book covers, and I put like my face like in the middle of like I don't have that now, but like I put my face like in the middle of it, and I think I was like, yeah, this is gonna be great. Like I was just like, that's kind of like my creativity where I was just like adding flowers everywhere, like doing all these. And I still have those covers to this day like on Canva, but it never, obviously came to the final draft of what it is today. But I think that's where that initial creativity, like seeing something in a visual form, like seeing what it could be, like at that early age, I think that motivated me, and that kind of reignited my ambition to like, oh, like let's actually just start writing stuff down and let's make let's make these book covers come to life. So I think that creativity of starting to write came from seeing that visual first of what this could possibly be, and also reflecting back on that documentary with Michelle Obama and the Becoming documentary, and seeing her book signing, and thinking maybe that could be me one day. And I did it, and like honestly, like, even this opportunity that I had got from London Public Library. I remember my mom was talking to me. She was telling me, like, I think it was in 2023 when I officially published it, like, oh, you should contact the library and stuff. And I had never like done that officially. And then it came down to this year, and I did contact the library, but it wasn't even like I didn't get like the answers that I needed necessarily, and then I got a phone call, and it was like, wow, like this just it came into my lap almost, like just setting the intention and putting just I think just even doing certain things like the universe like pulls it back to you in a way. Like I believe in that. Like it gives it back to you. Like whatever you put out, you're gonna get back, right? And I put that intention out there, and I did that. And I think even with the book, the creativity, all of these things just came together. You know, you set the intention. You even whether you drew something or you wrote something down. You know, like even like putting I put Taniyah Creates gonna be a household name. Like my mom's she writes affirmations all around the house. Like just seeing those things, seeing those visions, like it really motivates you to believe. And then again, I would go back to the believing and then knowing. Like when you start to believe and then you just start to, you have to have that imagination. Like that imagination is key. And I think no matter how old I get, I have to still have that imagination, because it's really you are your limit. I think your mind is the one that's going to be the limit to your success. And that's the only thing that I keep thinking of. And even if my anxiety, I cannot let my anxiety tarnish my limitation. I cannot let my anxiety be my limitation, rather. I don't want that to be tarnishing my reality, what I see for myself, and what I even can't see for myself. There may be greater than what my vision is telling me. I don't know what the future is to hold, but that creativity that you're saying, I feel like it stems from just believing in self and doing something, just being vulnerable to put yourself out there. That's where I feel like the greatest creativity comes from. So yeah.
I believe you're journaling through understanding that anxiety can be a great friend to you. And for those that have anxiety disorders or panic attacks, when they start learning that anxiety can be such a great colleague, a great friend, to let you know how stressed you are, to make you aware how nervous you could be. It helps you prepare for those moments. And I believe what you're saying, you're journaling through those moments of looking at as I once feared you a little bit, but now we're becoming acquainted, and now we're developing a relationship. And then you can be thankful. Thank you, anxiety, for letting me know that today I'm stressed, that I need to rest. Or thank you that I have too much energy. My anxiety is telling me I need to go for a run, And so I see how you're journaling through it, and your book kind of tells us that a little bit.
Yeah.
I have one more question. I know Kevin has probably 1,000 questions. I could say. What chapter was the most emotional one that did bring some tears that you have to write?
Yeah. I think I actually talked about the library, but it's the one that's hype up yourself, because I think that's just a really it's just a page, and I think that it's you have to hype up yourself. Even with that LinkedIn post that you mentioned earlier, I have to hype up myself, because who's going to do it for me? And I think that can bring real tears to me, because it's sometimes my self-esteem, I'm not thinking about hyping up myself. I don't even I had another I'm a Pro Leadership Institute at K University, and we had a recent bronze weekend training, and we have this setup where on a Saturday we have a dance, right, in our community. And I'm not a party person, right? But I have like these influential leaders who are all around me. They're like, you know what? Like just get up and let loose. It's really my anxiety is no. Like my body's my body stiffens. Like my feet are stamped to the ground. It's my body cannot let loose. And it's not that I don't want to, it's just that my body is it's trapping myself. And it's this interesting feeling. But I think that when you just allow yourself to be free, and when you're saying anxiety can be your friend, it can be your colleague, I really like that, because it puts it in a different perspective. Anxiety can be protecting me from a lot of different things, maybe my body is telling me something, maybe I don't want to do this right now, or maybe I do. It's that's why I feel what you were saying, building that relationship with your anxiety can be really telling to what your body is speaking to you, right? Even right now, I can tell that I'm a bit amped up, nervous, but I know it's a good anxiety. I know it's a good feeling. That's why. And I know when it's not, because it's when you continue to learn yourself through this, you really know what is and what's not, and I really like that, because that's all about what we're trying to do, learn ourselves as humans. We there's so much things to learn about the body, the mind. That's why you're saying knowledge is power. Knowledge, the more you know, the more you're going to be able to have these different experiences, have these different, things to tell, and the transfer of knowledge to other people, the more that it's just so much that can happen. I think that honestly, I'm starting to believe anxiety, it's a beautiful thing. Like, I don't, it's like sounds superficial, but like I feel like I don't know, because sometimes I can downplay my anxiety. I'm like, yeah, this I should get out there. Like, why am I like this? I'm 18 years old, I'm not having fun. But maybe my anxiety is telling me, there's different fun out there for you in the future. Like, this is not the fun that you're supposed to be having right now. So honestly, that was really breakthroughing for me, because it's like sometimes I feel like I'm awkward, or like I'm not really having the stereotypical college experience, because my anxiety is pushing me in the back burner. But no, like I got invited to a student group leadership conference. That's fun to me. I'm able to meet all these different people and have network connections. I was an orientation leader. Yes, I was scared to go up to new freshmen, but guess what? I had to reflect on my own experience as a freshman and say, hey guys, my name is Taniyah Creates, and I'm here. I'm a public health major. I was just like you in your position. I had to create my script, my pitch, and I got there. I got through it. So I really appreciate what you're saying. Like, this is real life for me. And I think, anxiety can be I'm growing with anxiety. I'm growing with her. And I think even me naming her, giving her a pronoun, like she's there with me. So
I like that.
this is really great.
Yeah.
So,
If you treat it like an enemy, it will treat you like an enemy back. Right?
mhm.
But if you treat it as a companion, a friend, you treat it as something that can make you grow even further, because anxiety always challenges you.
Mhm.
It will always challenge you. And if you look at that challenge as a good thing, then you will grow beautifully with it. And then you will be a living testimony, like you are today, about you can still do things even if you feel that the anxiety is pulling you to the ground.
Mhm.
Also anxiety is telling you, have you prepared yourself? Are you competent yet to let loose of what you feel? Because anxiety might tell you, prepare yourself before you launch yourself there. And you're making your parents' life very easy parenting. Let me tell you that, because like you said, the societal norms around this age is like, let's go and live like an adult, like when it's not time to do so. And I love what you just said, the responsibility of knowing that your fun at your age group, is it healthy or unhealthy to do
Right.
so or not? Kevin,
Yeah.
I'll pass it to you, because I'm sorry, I was just curious, because Taniyah's just killing it today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I fully agree with you. Like, society norms, like the fun ship in that, it's kind of like, it's I believe it's BS. It's like, what you'll find fun is what speaks to your heart.
Yeah.
And for other people's opinions on that, it's just like, it, just shoot us.
Right.
They don't know the
Yeah.
heart in that sense. I remember that I'll tell you a little story about like one of the anxieties that I had when I was younger. During a college project, so it was like a photo project
Okay.
that I had to do, and I had an anxiety moment, and I felt like it was going to destroy me. But instead of it destroying me, it actually built me up, and it raised me like a phoenix. Like, it brought me out of the ashes. It brought me from tears to having a sword on my hand. For the next one, right? So my photo project was it was to go to like different skate parks in NYC. So I was just exploring a whole bunch of different parks, and I ran into one of my old friends, where we all were in a program once, and he skate, and I wasn't skating back then, but we all ran into each other, and I was like, hey, how's everything going? We were taking some photos along the way, and I asked him to be a part of the project. So we just went to different parks, but I was like a wallflower in a sense. I wasn't like as social, so I didn't talk too much. And my anxiety started building up, and I started having like a little panic attack at the park.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, like I just left the park, and I left it like crying, and I was like, oh, why did I leave? Why did I leave, and why am I crying? And I was like, why do I feel like this right now?
Right.
Well, I'm pushing like so hard in the street. I'm like why, like I literally had like a fight or flight moment. Like,
Yeah.
I did a flight and I was just pushing hard. I'm like, why is this feeling here? But then next thing you know, it's like it's an experience that kind of needed to happen, right? Because if it didn't happen, I wouldn't know the feeling that was there and knew that it was just that I wasn't gonna die.
Right.
Like you're
Yeah.
not gonna die during it. If I stood longer, like
Mhm.
a magic could have happened.
Yeah.
Something really cool could have went down into it. So
Yeah.
during those, what I learned from that experience was just to stay with the feeling just a little longer, just to push through with it. And it could be uncomfortable, right? But then it could get better because then the next thing you know, I couldn't give up on my project. Like my project was set. Like I really wanted to really do good on it. So I had to pick myself back up and go out to the different skate parks again to start asking like random skaters if I could take their photos. And then next thing you know, I started building out like good banger photos. Like I started getting like really good shots, like some shots like with the shadows, skaters in bowls, some people like in the air, like things I would thought I never would have got before. But I don't think it would have happened without me going through the first experience of like crying and in my anxiety and being like, oh, okay, why did I feel like this? Now I gotta push through and I can't give up, you know?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are gonna go through experiences like that too for anything that they care about. Because I cared a lot about that project, and it's like
Yeah.
I didn't want that project to go downwards, and I felt like I felt like a failure in that moment.
Right. But I feel like that also like it built resilience and it also like birthed like a greater creativity within you that you were able to keep going and like find like I feel like that's what it speaks to a lot. Like anxiety, like you have like I like when you say you can stay a little longer, see how long you can stay in that and it just builds like you have the stamina to keep going. And I think that's what we're trying like that's with anything. Like I'm not that good at math, but I know if I keep practicing and get through that mind thing, it's like, oh, what is going on? If I just keep going, then I will, you can just get better at it. It's like a sport, like anxiety. You can just it's just something you can get better at. You can get better at like going through those tough feelings. Like we're all gonna experience like tough things in life. Like it's inevitable. Like going anything you're trying to do for greatness, like it's gonna be a tough ride, and that's gonna be some sorry nights where you're just like, I don't even want to do this anymore. Like I don't even know why I'm doing this. Like why did I sign up for this? Like it's like that's why I felt sometimes that even my orientation leader job, I'm like I don't even want like I'm like this is not me. I'm not that social. Like I don't know why I like pushed myself to do this. Like what was I thinking? But like you said, like you just come out greater from it too, and like you have to keep going. Just wait a little longer in that moment, and then you birth something amazing. So
100%, 100%. Like another example with that was I had imposter syndrome. Like when I went into the wedding industry space as a photographer and a videographer, my first wedding, I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Like I literally did not know what I was doing. Like I knew how to work my camera, but like how was a wedding day look? Right? Like I could do so much research on the day of, but like when the day came, my heart
it's like, oh no, yeah.
Yeah, right. And now 3 years later, it's like my heart still kind of races before going in, but I get braver throughout it, and I'm like really calm through it. Like I know how to work the day. Like if anything goes down during it, like I know how to redirect the flow. I know how to now direct people. I know now how to gather huge groups and get them to basically listen to my voice. Like I wasn't a public speaker. The next thing you know, they're all looking. I'm like, oh, everybody do this. But push through the initial feeling of my anxieties. It's such a weird thing, right? Like anxiety is such a weird one.
Yes, it is. But like again, like you were saying, like you learn to push through it, and you just learn to like, and it's not even like you're pushing to the back burner. Like you're acknowledging it. Like you said, it's not going away. Like you still probably get like those feelings of anxiety, like starting something that you've been probably, brandishing your skills and whatever. But like it's still like it's not like you're coping with it. But it's I don't even want to like sometimes I feel like people use coping as like, you're like coddling it, like you're like, but I feel like you're just like growing, like you're growing with it, like you're just like this is my I don't know, like you're birthing something like came within and like you're like, okay, I got this, like we got this together, like we're growing with this together, and like this is taking me to bigger and greater things. Like the more that I continue to nurture you, the more that, you know, we're growing and you're doing more photographer events. Like it's like great. Like honestly, like it could really bring you to great places if you like don't neglect it. Like, you know, it's not like I'm neglecting my anxiety. I know that it's here. I know that I know it's going to come up in spaces, but I have to keep going. I have to keep doing these events. I have to keep pushing myself out there. I have to keep writing. I have to keep, you know, you got to keep doing the thing that got you to do what you want to do. Like, right. Like, I don't know. It's like, it is interesting. It is a very interesting feeling. So,
Indeed.
mhm.
Indeed. Exposure. And that's, I always tell clients, anxiety dislikes a busy mind and dislikes exposure.
Mm.
And because what anxiety really needs is more data for you to have a rationality and create and feed your subconsciousness with that information.
Yeah.
Because what happens is what your subconscious doesn't have that information because it hasn't been exposed. So a lack of data, what it does, it makes you impulsive, right? We talk about the it, right? It
Mhm.
makes that like you wanna run away. But like you were saying, Kevin, you know, it's like, what would happen if I stay? Would I die? Right? Because and whoever had an anxiety attack, it's a feeling of death. You feel like
Yes.
you're losing control of your mind. You feel that you're having a heart attack. Some
Mhm.
people's face numbs up, right?
Yeah,
It's a
that's very
horrible
real. Yeah.
experience. Yeah, it's a horrible experience, but at the same time, if you're able to withstand that emotion that it's so intense because your adrenaline is pumping into your heart and your heart is beating up really quick. If you're able to withstand that, think about the reality of your identity of how strong you really are,
Mhm.
because that's what that's what really anxiety does for you. It becomes an ally. It really
Yeah.
portrays your identity of you, how brave you are, and also the fact that you're able to build your personality in a way that is different. Because think about it, if you never fear anything, what kind of personality would you have?
Mm.
Think
Yeah.
about
It
it.
probably
Will
would
you
come off
not
like cocky or like, you know, I
Well,
got
you
this.
would knock on any unknown doors, right? If you didn't
Yeah.
fear anything, you would just push through everything, right? It wouldn't matter. Anxiety is because you care about yourself
Mhm.
and you care about the environment and you care about knowing, but you're scared about knowing because you don't know what's on the other side, but you dare to explore it too. So I like what Kevin was saying because I remember him working on this skateboard
Mhm.
project. We at that time we worked together, and I remember
Wow.
Kevin. I was like, Kevin, yeah, I know, just keep going, man. And he
Yeah.
went and he went. I wanted to ask both of you guys this question. Your resilience is definitely outstanding. I think I feel like you guys are like brothers and sisters to me. How resilient you both are.
Yeah.
Right, high
So,
five.
Yep.
so let me ask you guys this. What do you guys believe triggered this this whole idea of always being resilient? What you think magnifies your resilience? Where do you trigger it from? How does it start? How did you spark it? Because you guys are very resilient.
Mm.
I'm very resilient too, and I think I have an enormous drive, and I think Kevin can tell you, you guys have that drive too. You too, tonight. I see
Mhm.
it. I
I
can see
appreciate that.
you're that person like Kevin that pushes and
Yeah.
pushes and pushes and doesn't know anything else besides like I'm gonna drive it until even when I make it, I'm still gonna go further than that.
Yeah.
So like to me, my resilience comes from that drive.
Mm.
Where does that resilience come from you guys?
Interesting.
Mine is, to be honest, mine is what how far can I push myself before I die, right?
Mm.
That's me. Like how what will I be satisfied with who I am if I were gone tomorrow?
Mm.
That's my biggest thing. I like pushing myself and not giving up on things because life is short, but life is a parry at the same time. Like life doesn't have to be taken like so seriously, because the next day, like even like the next like 2 hours, you never know. You never know. Like it doesn't even have to be a full day. Uh, but that's where my resilience comes from, because it's like I could either be like just like moping and rotting away,
Mm.
but with the existential pressures of life, or I could push myself to do something that I like. Like what lives in me that I haven't awoken up yet? Like what is that potential? What is that stuff that's in me that I haven't tapped into? And if I don't tap into it before I die, then it was wasted,
Mm.
right? Like it lived in me. Why didn't I go through it? Like there's this one quote that I really like, or like this one thing that really makes me think about it. It's like at your deathbed, like you're surrounded by ghosts, but the ghosts are the things that you didn't do. Right? It's the ghost of the dreams that died with you. So like that's what I think about. I'm like, I don't want to. I want to be surrounded by ghosts that are like, oh shit, nice,
Yeah.
and then ghosts that are like, okay, cool, but the other buddies over
Yeah.
here, don't worry about me. Worry about those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kevin has such an adventurous mindset too.
Uh-huh.
I'm not Kevin to tell you this, but for what I've seen from Kevin is that he always wants to explore. That's
Mm.
Kevin. Kevin is if Kevin was in the middle of the forest, he will be the happiest. He will know every tree.
Mhm.
I can tell you, he will probably have squirrel friends, bear. He will know where every bear lives.
Mhm.
That's Kevin. I do think like Kevin is so adventurous, and with you, Taniyah, like
Mhm.
you ran, like you had to run and to
Yeah.
be an athlete. You have to have a very determined mindset too.
Right.
So
Yeah.
where do you think your drive comes from? Your resilience.
Yeah. I would definitely say like I think I just want to see like how like I would agree to that. Like how far can I take it? I think fatal knowledge is something that I do take account in as well. But also like I just want to see like what like I want to like just be great. Like I just want to like I feel like my ambition is like if I stop now, what does that make me? Like I don't want to stop here now. Like this is not what I want. This is a great part of my life right now, but I know I have other greater parts of my life that I want to get to. I want to see where that I want to get to those identity. I want to get to that part of me that I'm going to be proud of. And I think that I am proud of myself now, but like I just still want to continue being proud. And I don't think if I stop now, I'm not going to be proud of what I'm doing. Like this is not my end. So I can't stop now. So then that's like where that drive comes from me. Like my ambition is like I have to keep going because like again, like in my pop-up piece, like live every day like it's your last. Because you never know. Like again, we do live as humans, we have this fatal knowledge of like for example, that's like our weighing. I was reading Gilgamesh in my English class and
Mm.
like that's like with the like he's a king of the wall city of Uruk. And the thing about him was like he was half human, I think, and half god. And it's like he has like this like having like humans who have this fatal knowledge. And then it was like his friend, I forgot his friend's name, but he grew up in the wild and he didn't really have like that access to like human like our brains and like fatal knowledge as animals do. Where like animals like they're just like for example like maybe the signs for deers like you hit them and then they die, but like they're not really aware. Like we're aware of that thing, so that's like weighing on us. Like that's like when we're running, like I'm like that's nothing with running. Like I'm running, but I'm thinking. Like sometimes people try to get into like a runner's high, but like you kind of just like get into this mode of like there's like no thoughts. Like there are thoughts happening, but like it's like your mind's in like this just like you're just in this constant. And like with that knowledge of just like knowing, like you're just like constantly thinking. Even going to bed, sometimes it's like you're just thinking so much of the day. Even when I'm reading, sometimes I'm like trying to get into my novel, and then I'm like thinking about things that are like it doesn't matter. It's like I don't know, like, but I think for me, I feel like I got off track here, but like to like, you know, to get motivated is like for me, like to stay motivated, and my drive really just stems from me wanting to like just elevate and just continue going. And I know I'm not gonna be, I don't want to stay here. And I know there's going to be more places where I'm like, I don't want to stay here either. And I don't want to stay here either. So I'm going to just have to keep going. And I just want to keep going and going and going until I don't even know if satisfied is the word. Like maybe I won't be satisfied. Maybe I'll just be happy that I just kept going. So I think maybe that's it, you know?
Yeah, right. The pursuit that makes it the happiness. It's like it's not the destination, but the pursuit.
Exactly. It's like that chase, like that. I kept making that exploration that you were saying that Kevin has, like just that wanting to explore, wanting to learn, you know, in this journey that we have, you know, we don't know. I don't know. We don't know the future. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 hours, like you're saying. So why not enjoy the ride? Just keep going.
It's interesting because also in the way we behave, it's also like even if you were to have all the success, we will never fulfill that satisfaction because you will be seeking the other, looking for that unicorn that you don't have, because you think that other unicorn could be more important or can add more value to the value you already have.
Yeah.
My question to you guys, even for myself, I ask myself this question too. It's like, at some point, I don't think that the word is when will you stop. The question is, when would you transition into something that defies you to find more peace than to challenge yourself to success? Because there's two paths. You know, when you become very successful, the hardest part is not being successful, is maintaining the success. But at some point, you become repetitive if you don't adapt and evolve. It's going to turn boring.
Yeah.
You know, the question is like, when, for you guys, and even for me, I'll go last. When will you? What will make you understand that it's time to transition into something more suitable for your quality of time and peace of mind?
It depends on the challenge. Like, I like challenges. If it works my mind, like a puzzle, right? It gets me working, then it's good. But then if it's like the same puzzle every single time, then it's like, okay, I get this puzzle. This puzzle's good. I understand it. I know how to work it faster. It's like I mastered the puzzle now. I guess let me go on to another level of it. Like let me go on to like a different type of Rubik's cube. And then it's like, okay, now it's like you mastered all the Rubik's cube. It's like, okay, let me try the triangle puzzle. But I think like with success, it's like, you know, it's like we're gonna hit a point of it, and it might even be boring after a certain time. You're like, okay, you can have all the money in the world, you can have all the objects in the world, you have all the things that you need. Like, I think after you get all your survival needs like fixed, then everything else becomes like
Extra.
yeah, it's all extras, luxuries, and then the extras and luxuries are boring because then all your survivals are met, and like the hunger for the thing isn't like you got to have the hunger and the curiosity there for something like I think those two elements have to be alive in you even when you're successful, because then if they're not, it's just gonna go downhill. But I think that's one of the things to maintain success, but also to appreciate it and to know when to transition. Like when the challenge gets too repetitive, or if the challenge is too easy, but you don't really want a hard enough challenge too. It's like getting into flow state, right? Like you want the challenge to be just a little bit out of reach, where you can't like fully reach it, and it's just slightly difficult. But you don't want it to be like too hard where you're struggling through the motion of it. So it's like, in order to obtain flow into it, it has to be like that right balance of like difficulty with confidence. Like there's levels to it, you know, like for example, like YouTube, you build a channel, next thing you know, you build a media platform, next thing you know, you build like a production team and etc. Next thing you know, you have like different channels running, right? Like there's umbrellas that go into it, and that's just only one example. Or like another example, it's like you become a master cook, and next thing you know, you don't want, like, you love cooking, but like you already mastered it, but now you want to get into real estate. You're like, I also like houses, so let me try to like learn what the houses are like. So it's like that. It's like just the world, you could explore so much in. You could explore so much in the world. When the challenge gets too easy, try to find a different challenge to get you in flow again.
I like
What about
that.
you, Taniyah?
Yeah, I would say like a lot of what you were saying reminded me of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, of like how like once you get like your basic needs met, like your food, your safety, maybe love as well, and then you get your self-actualization stage, like that top of the pyramid. It's like when you're trying to like you're looking for that, like we were saying, like being curious, like you're trying to like feel that, like that hunger mind, like that hungry mind that's gonna keep going. But then it's like, I guess like for me, it's like if it gets too repetitive again, like I don't think I would. I like routine, but I also like to grow. And I think that if I just had the same routine, I wouldn't be growing, because it's like now I already know what I'm expected to do. Like say I want to be consistent with running. Like for me, I'm not like after I was on a team, like now I want to be more consistent with running, but I still just keep saying like, oh, I'm gonna do running, but I'm not doing it. Maybe once I get to that, say, okay, we're running every week, okay, we feel good, okay, now that's a challenge for me now. And then it's like, okay, I want to write every day. Let's write every day. Let's like do another book, because that's another challenge. I know that's feasible, but now I have to put these opportunities on me. And then it's like once you like, okay, let's see. Once I get to there, it's like you're gonna find something else to like latch onto. I want to accomplish this. I want to accomplish that. And then it's like, is it like you wanting to do it, or is it like societal's expectations of like so that life has a lot to offer for sure, and I don't think I would ever limit myself from what life has to offer, but it's also like this social pressure to like continue and continue and continue until, how do you even know like if that's what you really wanted to do? Or like that's the thing with wanting to do something, like maybe what you wanted to do turned into something else, like maybe it evolved to this other want, and then it's like you kind of erase like that identity of wanting something, and then you just become like this, all of these things, and then it's like it's just really hard to manage. But when you're talking about like maintaining the success, I think it's like maintaining, nurturing, which you were saying, Kevin, like this ambitious mind, like you're nurturing, wanting to continue to learn, wanting to continue to be curious about how far can you take it in this life that has so much to offer. So I think that mind is kind of like a conjumbling of both things. Like, there's so much that life can offer. So I don't know what I am to like be satisfied with if I don't know what my want is going to be in the next 5 years from now. I don't know what my want is going to be in the next 10 years from now. So I can't be satisfied with something I don't know what's feasible for me. And if that continues and continues throughout my life, then I'm just going to be just becoming all of these things. And then I don't know, like that, it kind of just like, energizes me to do that, to continue to search for that until the search is no longer.
I like what you said about becoming all these things, because that's exactly what you do. You become these things. You become your pursuits, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I'm wanting different things in life as you go along your evolution, right? Like it will trail down to different places. Like for example, when I went to study, I studied for my bachelor in fine arts and photography. And that got me into the wedding industry, but like, but I didn't want to be a wedding photographer, right? But it's just that's where it got me to,
right.
But so I could still go on with my degree and find different avenues.
Exactly. It can be multifaceted, like you were saying. Like,
Yes, and that's the best point about it, right? And like now it's like now I want even something else rather than just playing with the camera. Now the camera becomes more personalized thing, and now I want like an e-commerce type of business. But that transition me from like e-commerce and art. So like for example, like the t-shirt is from an e-commerce brand from Maestro Galleria, which brings encompassing like my degree, the fine arts degree,
right,
all into one thing, right? So it's like the photography can be transferable now into another placement, into another platform, to say. So it's, wanting, knowing, and doing all come together, and evolving is one of those things. Like that one pinpoint. You don't need a pinpoint in your life, right? Like you don't need to say like for the rest of my life, this is how it's gonna be
Right, this is it. Yeah.
structured and in this exact type of way. Yeah, like life doesn't work like that. Like you said, like 5 years down the line, everything can change.
Right.
Even change in a year. Like
True.
it's good to have the map. Like I'm not saying like throw out the map and just like don't go buy any map.
Hmm.
It's good to have like a map at a certain like to pinpoint it, but like don't make the map too rigid where you're not allowed to travel different trails. Like,
Exactly. And I like
Don't
actually
go
want to
too,
comment on that with
don't
the
go,
major
don't
thing.
go too far from the path, literally.
yeah.
Yeah. Like when as a freshman, I came in undecided. And I think like exactly what you were saying. It's like it kind of seemed like college is like you have to know. You have to know, you have to narrow yourself into this box of like finding a major, and this is what you have to stick with. It kind of makes me feel like that, or at least at first. But then when you're saying it's like there's so many opportunities that you can do, like so I don't want to like become like so rigid, like you were saying, and so narrow-minded to just do this one thing when there's so many things that we can become in this life. There's so like even if you do decide to follow exactly in that path of something that you outlined for yourself, but you can also still like do something else. Like you can, it's just so many opportunities. I would never want to like limit myself to just I'm a writer identity, because I never even thought of myself as that. Like I don't think even like when you comment again, Wendell, like Taniyah Creates, because I don't know what I'm going to create. I could create so many different things. Like, even my biological status as a woman, like I'm to create, another generation of people. But I can create more than that. I can create, different opportunities for people. I just never know. And I think that's like that's the thing about becoming. And like you said, like don't discard the plan of like trying to find a way, in some sense, but still be open to the opportunities and expand your mind to what can become of you. So.
Yes, like
Yeah.
keep that map. Like it's
Yeah,
good.
exactly. Don't just like, what, we're just
Yeah,
backpacking or
100%.
something.
100%. Like don't toss it out the way. Like that
Yeah.
decision on one thing. Just it's like
Mhm.
the accountant can be seen like it's just seen as just numbers. But next thing you know, it could be like the next person that's like running like stock in retail, right? He like just because they know the numbers and know the pattern so well,
Yeah.
like they didn't know that they were just gonna run stock next, right? And you
Exactly.
might be able to make more money from that.
Yeah.
But as a writer, that you don't know if you might be writing for the newspapers or
Exactly.
even becoming a journalist.
Right.
You
You
never know.
never
But
know. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
especially in today's world where if you work for, let's say, a corporation, they're going to make you wear multiple hats. But the
Mhm.
question is, why can't you wear those multiple hats for yourself outside of
Mhm.
a corporate setting? Because you guys hit it on the nail. I love what you guys are saying. I hope that our youth thinks like this.
Mhm.
If I can do it in a corporate setting, making money for other people, why can't I do it for myself? Where I become multifaceted, but
Mhm.
also I consume. Maybe I need to learn somewhere, and I become part of that corporate setting. But at some point, I have to start getting out of there because at some point I have to feel free. Creativity requires freedom,
Mhm.
freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom of convictions. You cannot be creative if you're in prison, if your ideas are jailed, or there are rules that prevent you from being or seeing or expressing how you feel and how you view the world and how you view yourself.
That's
And I
true.
do think that what you guys are saying, it's like I love what you guys are saying. I'm telling you, you guys probably brothers and sisters. I don't even know. But you guys are
We
people
can
alike.
be. Yep.
And yeah, and what's funny is like to me, like I I can stop maybe one day I will retire, but am I really going to retire from learning?
Mm.
Am I really going to retire from teaching?
Nope.
I have a responsibility as a mentor, as a professional to pass the baton to someone that's going to do better than me because my job is always going to be inconclusive and I know that. I know my work is going to be inconclusive and somebody has to continue to work on these things. I do see myself, like, for example, later on in life, maybe just counseling, just at a small setting,
Mhm.
or just writing books or writing poetry as well.
Yeah.
But but that's where I was thinking about this the other day, guys, and I was like, what is the evolution of leadership? You guys are so young and beautiful leaders. I see in you, but what is what is leadership missing? And it came like a light bulb, and I was like, why didn't I think about this? It took me 45 years to figure this out, right? But the next step of leadership is, what kind of a hero do you want to become? Because you can lead people, but into what? A hero saves without expecting nothing in return, does without being asked, goes the extra mile without being told, inspire other people without looking that if that energy is going to be reciprocated back to him. So, in the world of LinkedIn, I see a lot of posting, and everyone is like rules, storytelling. But no, real heroes don't talk about the good deeds they do. They quietly, and I tell you this from my military years, I've seen a lot of heroes. They never talk about their acts of heroism. Other people tell their stories. They acknowledge. And I believe that's what we have to transcend to one day. One day, Kevin Del Rio, like somebody glorified you the other day at a wedding, Kevin. That's heroism. You didn't do it for the fact that you wanted somebody to acknowledge you. At the book signage at the library, how many people came to you and said how wonderful your work was?
Yeah.
Those are little acts of heroism that I believe we have to evolve to become more humble, more servant leaders, but to evolve to that, to always have act of heroism. So our legacy lives forever, although we die physically one day, and our knowledge will die one day, but it's passed to someone else. That's what I think a lot about, especially now being a little older. It's like, what's my legacy? My legacy doesn't have to be about money. It doesn't have to be about like monuments. I want a silent legacy where my knowledge served the bigger purpose for someone. Because you can give money to someone. It's like, okay, they could spend it.
Yeah.
What's the point of giving them money if you never taught them what to do with it? So that's one thing I always think about, guys. And you guys are, I admire you guys, because at your age, I wasn't the man I was. My mistakes were one after another, but that also built me, right? Having those many bad steps, at your age, at Kevin's age, I already had a daughter, and it was difficult. But again, that's like, that's the beauty of the walks of life. You're able to see beauty in each step. Like I see beauty on Kevin's path of his personal and professional journey. And with you also, Taniyah, like we know you very little, but I can think about it, you're only 18 and look how you think. Have you ever seen yourself in the mirror and acknowledged like the greatness that you already have at such a young age?
I feel like people like they say that a lot, and I'm like, I still don't really like understand it. It's like this weird thing, and I understand because like when I reflect on like when I was like younger, and I'm like, if she only knew just to like stay there a little longer, enjoy that fun a little longer. But even like, when you're saying to me now, like, like the way that I'm presenting my ideas or something or whatnot, it's like I still can't really see that. I'm trying to. I think it's important for me to acknowledge that, but it is hard to like reflect on at this age, because like I'm thinking, well, like I'm in 2 years I'm gonna be 20, and then I'm gonna be like an adult, I guess, and then I'm gonna have to like, so it's like this concept of age, it kind of traps us. It does, and it kind of forces us in a way to like not really think about like what state of mind we're in right now. So that's why I feel like sometimes I kind of erase age, in a sense that like, and even psychology, like there's social age, there's psychological age, there's biological age, so like, like your emotional intelligence can be different, right, depending on what age you are. So I think that, not to erase age completely, You know, that's why we have age. You know, I'm trying to think of. I know it's called something, but I forgot.
It's the maturity,
Yeah,
yeah, and you're absolutely right. It's like I remember, getting advice and like 5 years later, it's like, oh, this is what they meant. It's like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah. Like you just like suddenly realize that. And it's like, wow. Like even like if I look back like when I was 16, I'm like, wow, like you were like looking back now, it's like, yeah, you were pretty brave for doing that. Like me now probably would have been hypercritical of my writing. I'm like, I would not publish this. But at 16, I'm like, wow, that you know, I can see that that's a version of myself. And sometimes it's hard to like do that as well, like as I'm growing, to kind of like grieve parts of yourself in a sense of like even like when you were in certain like social settings, like I'm thinking about when I was in high school, I'm like, wow, like, you know, you're really grieving yourself, but you're still celebrating this new version of you that's continuing and growing and learning. Like you said, I think what's beautiful what you said is like about legacy, because right now that you're sharing the legacy right now, like having this platform for me to speak, you know, at this age, like I'm gonna forever remember this because this is something that is building me on my journey. So that legacy is already being built. That legacy is already having a foundation. That knowledge is beautiful to share, because knowledge, like you said, like that's gonna be forever. Money is not, like, you know, this tangible thing is not, like, you know, people can just spend it, like you said, like knowledge is something that really sticks, and knowledge is something that we are always referring back to. Like we're referring, like even in our textbooks, we're thinking about, you know, Sigmund Freud, like you said, Lev Vygotsky, or, you know, there's so many of these amazing, intelligent, you know, beings that we are reflecting back on their work because their schools of thought are still prevalent today. And I think that's the beautiful thing that you're talking about, legacy. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is going to get us to go these different places. So yeah, that's beautiful that you're doing that.
and you know something, tonight, you're always welcome to the Ethic Skill podcast. I want you to,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
me and Kevin always talk about, like, we always want to welcome the doors, especially when, when you haven't reached, I guess, the stage of value where everyone admires your work. When that day comes, God permits,
Yeah.
I want you to understand that this platform would never close the doors for you.
Wow.
Even if this platform becomes huge,
Hmm.
we always want you to feel like this is your home.
Yeah.
And you can come and discuss anything you want. Again, we
Yeah.
experiences, right?
Mhm.
And I like the fact that we have the opportunity to learn more from other people. Kevin and I have interviewed a lot of people in such a short period of time,
Wow.
and every time we listen, there's so much coming in and it's so beautiful to have. I wish that the future was a place where we have more time to have this kind of quality of time, because
Mhm.
it's not like me and I hang out every day. We go to the bar, then we see each other every day,
Right.
right? But look at, like, this setting, how we can have a genuine conversation. And think about it. I'm 45. Kevin is 26, I think, 25.
Yeah, 25.
Yeah, and you are 18. Does
Mhm.
the age matter when there's love? When
Yeah.
there's understanding, when you're trying to build a community where the communication is clear. We all have different race. Does it matter to us? It doesn't matter. We all look different. This is what real diversity should look like,
Right.
where we embrace each other's story, and we not only laugh at the stories, and we have a good moment,
Mhm.
but we are able to express ourselves without fear.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And I like that from Kevin. Like, Kevin, I'm telling you, Kevin is the most famous guy at the Club. He's
Wendell, he kills it. Wendell's a
like,
great
they're
one.
like every
He's
time
a
every time you
magician.
have a guest, they haven't met Kevin because they meet me first, right? They're like, "Oh, I know you. I know you." I'm like, "Oh God, Kevin."
Wendell heals the magic. Wendell, he's a magician. He's a wizard. Like he's great. He's great at this.
Tell them I'm old like a wizard. I don't
No, you don't look like the wizard. Nah, man, you are a wizard. Like
know,
honestly, like
but
he has
I love.
great touches. Like his like the editing.
Yeah.
Oh,
I had to
A1,
learn
right?
I had to learn how to edit, because when we started the
Mhm.
Ethics Skill podcast, we had like we know about business,
Yeah.
but we were never in the entertainment business, right?
Mm,
So you had to learn about these things, and Kevin has done such a great job with the production side. I'm more like the director,
right.
and but what makes our platform shine is the guests.
Mm,
We are nothing without the guests. We are no one without having that other consciousness join us. This
mhm.
is why I like
Yeah,
your
we do such a
consciousness.
well job at highlighting the guests too. Like we
Yeah.
love highlighting the guests in like their main points, like
Right.
all the inspiration that they have. Like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you like the impact that it has on other people, on like the
Yeah.
relatability too that it has within like the human story.
Yeah.
It's so great. Like so many people are gonna relate to your story. I mean, like there's so many like clips
Right.
and like snippets
So
of
crazy. Yeah.
that,
To
that's
think
just
about.
right,
But
like even like writing like your first book at 13, like
Mhm,
that POV angle, and like us
mhm.
being able to now share your first book, right? And then that'll be
Crazy. I'm
over in
like,
the second book.
yeah. I don't know if you guys
that's
ever experienced like trying to like zoom out of like the angle of what's happening. And that's what I feel like I'm doing right now. It's like I'm zooming out of like what's really happening right now. Like just you saying that it's like snaps back into reality because we were just such in like a loop of like conversation, of connectedness, and then it's like now we just it's like we're taking a sense of consciousness of what's really happening. This is big. Like this is like, it's like crazy like to think about, honestly.
Tanaya, you know
Yeah.
what's funny? You know,
Yeah.
like whoever tries to date you is gonna feel so intimidated. We're like, they're gonna try to impress you. Feels like, yeah, I
Oh
wrote
my
a book when I
god.
was 13. What you got? You're gonna run.
Oh
I
my
can see them
gosh.
like fleeing, like, whoa, whoa.
Right.
But it's
Yeah, I
funny.
get that. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you this. Like when you
Um,
wrote the book, what was the audience you were trying to reach to?
yeah. I feel like for me, I always say like on my TikTok videos, I'm like, this is a book written for a teen, for teens, or any demographic for that matter. Like I always say that because like for me, I didn't really have a particular audience in mind. I just wanted it to reach someone out there who's like dealing with anxiety, someone out there who may be self-doubt, someone out there who's trying to get rid of bad habits, someone out there who needs help, positive motivation. I'm just listing out the titles of my pages. Someone who needs to hype up themselves, someone who needs that self-love, someone who's looking to change their mindset, someone who's looking to conquer the reality or whatever that looks like for them. So I feel like my audience is kind of diverse, like you were saying, even us right here, like the inclusivity of it, but like erasing race, erasing all these social statuses of like, whatever degree or whatever, whoever needs the help, that's my audience. I think that could be broad. I know that usually like, a target audience is supposed to be, pretty narrow and kind of like, specific, but I feel like since it's self-help, the genre kind of allows it for that to be inclusive to everyone. So I don't think it kind of narrows in the box of like, and even like other books like fantasy or like fiction or like whatever, dystopian, like anybody could find use to it. Anybody could find benefit to it. So whoever it resonates with, whoever, they pick it up or whatever, wherever they pick it up or where if they order on Amazon, I'm not sure what the case may be. If they catch me at a book signing, if it's there, it's there. It's there for them. And if they feel connected to it, they feel connected. That's how I feel with books. Like when I choose a book, I read it's called this Who Put This Song On by Morgan Parker, and I got it from this library, or no, rather a bookstore, and I had saw that my favorite author Elizabeth Acevedo had commented on it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get that. Just by that recommendation alone, I was like, yeah, this is for me. Sometimes it's like a place and a time for things, so I think my audience kind of can tailor itself to whatever time, feeling, connectedness that they feel to the book. So I don't know, it's an interesting question, like my audience that I had in mind, because it's honestly like I wanted it to just resonate with anyone, with whoever felt that they needed it and it was in dire need of something to help them. If it was a tangible resource such as a book, I wanted them to have it. So that's kind of like what I kept in mind.
I like what you said because even Kevin and I we discuss like who is our audience, and it's like, and the other thing I was thinking, Kevin, I was like, does it really matter who our audience is? Like because the content is so broad
Mm-hmm.
and the niche is so like for example today's episode, right? We're talking about your book. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about Taniyah, 18 years old, bright, eloquent, smart, athlete. There's so many things.
Layers, yeah.
There's so many layers that you can't say like, oh, this episode is for this audience,
Right.
because it's like, who doesn't have anxiety in their life?
Mm.
Who doesn't need this book, Unlocking Your Static Energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't need these tools, the knowledge? Who doesn't need to listen
Right.
to
That's what,
knowledge?
yeah. Because it's like I feel like an audience, sorry to cut you off, but it kind of like excludes a group of people. You know what I mean? Like I feel that's what you're kind of getting at here. It's like, why would I want to exclude someone? And I'm not trying to promote like inclusivity for everything, but I'm just saying, like, I know some things there has to be exclusivity for, people to like have this mindset of working hard to achieve something. But I think resources such as this, like you're saying, that should be accessible. Like this is knowledge that should be accessible. That's what creates gaps with things. Knowledge, education is a big factor. Like knowledge is what creates gaps in resources and all these different things. How will we know if we don't share it to others and we create this barrier? Again, I think that exclusivity, like it can be beneficial, but inclusivity is also a beautiful thing. So yeah.
Like, I know it's so hard too, because it's like, for me, like, I know it's like we have these broad, like we want it broad, but at the same time we kind of have to have like a little bit of a target, because like we're humans, like
Mhm.
like we don't, if we didn't have an aim at something,
Yeah.
like literally an aim, then we would just be walking around everywhere. So it's like
Yeah.
having like a target audience is like having that long-term map, but you don't need to end up at that pinpoint. All right. Like it's just having it there, just to be like an aim
Right.
towards something. Like for example, like teens, like it's a book written by a teen for teens. Like
Yeah.
like the aim is like your demographic would be from ages 9 to 16, wherever is that teen ages. For example, like one of our target audiences that might be broad, but also a little bit specific, leaderships, people that have education.
Mhm.
We have a lot of like educational content on here, a lot of doctors, authors. We had teachers on here. We had people that
Yeah.
also pursue in self-education, master another craft, like oh dang, I forgot what his name. Freddie with his music.
Artists.
Yes,
Oh wow.
artist.
Yeah.
So it's like having a target audience. Like we don't have to be so rigid on
Mhm.
audiences.
Flexibility, yeah.
Yeah. We don't have to have the exclusivity. We can still make it inclusive, but it's just to have
Right.
some type of like literal like ray beam.
Right, right, and that makes sense. Because a lot of like that's the thing. Like you're saying, like humans, like we definitely strive to see like ourselves. If we don't see ourselves in like one thing, like for example, if I'm looking up specifically on Amazon teen books for this, I wanna find that. Like you wanna get to something. So I get exactly what you're saying. Like there definitely does need to have like some type of target so that it can be so. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, 'cause sometimes it's also like a noisy world, right? Like
Mhm.
especially now in today's era, like the library now is not the like one of the most accessible libraries now is a digital library which hosts like football acre fields of
Yeah,
books.
yeah,
You could get lost in the acre fields of books. So it's like how do you specify books for certain groupings,
right.
or even like certain different groupings might end up into another book, like a Where's Waldo book might end up in the sci-fi section.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's so funny. The Waldo book right next to Avatar or something.
Yeah, right next to Avatar in there.
No, but yeah,
Right.
you're right. I do think like a niche is like having like an intention. What
Mhm.
are you intending to communicate out? And your intention is to target what's in you outside. And sometimes we don't know what direction that intention is going to go,
Yeah.
because everyone, once it's out, everyone starts, and you're right, it goes into a category, because unfortunately we human beings, we are classes. We love to categorize and classify things, right? because
Yeah.
we believe that's the way that we should have order. But like you said, the information inside can contain so many things that are so broad, but the intention is the target. And you're absolutely right, Kevin, because if you think about it, right, let's reflect on one thing. What is the Bible? Is it a religious book? It has a lot of stories. It has a lot of knowledge. It has a lot of like great ways, ethical and morals and values for you to learn, to apply. So there's so much content, but yes, it's like you said, the intention is it's a book about the consciousness of God,
Mhm.
right? But the consciousness of God, what is the consciousness of God? And it's so there's so much in it, right?
Right.
That you can't say specifically, like, is it religious? Like, okay, maybe the Old Testament is religious, but the New Testament is about relationship. So what is it, right? And but you guys are absolutely right about that. And something I haven't thought about is like we outpour the intention, but then it's up for grabs for everyone. But we select and we choose
Mhm.
where that intention is going to go.
Yeah.
But people, pull it how they need it.
Yeah,
Right.
I love that too because it's like along that stage of religion, it's like you also had different types of churches, right? You also had
Mhm.
like Lutheran church, Presbyterian church,
Yeah.
and they all have different intentions or different ways, different things that they pulled from the Bible. But the
Mhm.
Bible is that one center book.
Exactly. And I wanted to ask you tonight.
Mhm.
So Taniyah Creates, it's your YouTube channel, correct?
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
where else can they find you, and where can they purchase your book?
Yeah, so you can find me on TikTok. I have a TikTok page, Taniyah Writes. That's where I just post like my book page stuff and also just like self-care and this is what I do. So you can like kind of see like me as a moving author, me as a moving person in this world, just creating things, learning about more about myself or whatnot. And also you can find me on The Unspoken. I have a podcast too, but something that I just do like for fun. I did it in 2022 and I'm not that as consistent, but I do want to be consistent in it. And I just started doing like video recorded on my phone, but I usually just did like on a voice. So yeah, I think that's all that you can find. And also LinkedIn as well. Just my name, Taniyah Drayton, and you should find me.
Yeah, and your book, if they want to buy it, they could just
Oh,
outreach to you, correct?
yes, and you can locate it on Amazon and also my email. I guess I can like give you guys that as well
Yeah,
so that they
we'll,
access.
we'll publish it on the description side.
Okay,
I
great.
know, Kevin, do you have a last question for Taniyah?
Yeah. If you were to, what's a few lessons that you'll walk away with today? Something that you'll like to tell your family.
Mhm.
Something you didn't know today that you like to tell your family and
It's the
friends.
subscriptions
Yeah.
to the Ethics Heal podcast. And guys, you better
Mhm.
subscribe to Taniyah Create too, please.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I feel like something I'm definitely going to share today is that I had a great conversation, had a great like it's like this is what I love, like the stimulation of the mind, like getting those ideas out, like conversing, having this like you said earlier, Wendell, like quality, like this is the quality time I'm looking for, like this is the quality time I think that we should have more often. I think that if we had this more often, that we would have so many more ideas flowing and just be able to like hear each other out as we are looking for human connection. And I think that's something I'm going to take away from a lot. And a lesson I think is learning more about like that crafting of my purpose and not narrowing it down necessarily as Kevin was saying, but like just being open to the where it is going to lead you. That expansive nature of having an intended goal, but just being open to what that plan unleashes in the world. And I think that's what's important. I think I also want to take from that legacy conversation of just like, building that gap, like bridging that gap of knowledge and being willing to share the knowledge, being willing to learn more and listen, like you guys were saying with your podcast, like you're listening to the ideas of the speakers who are invited, and there's so much power in like just connection and conversation and learning about others and what they have to say in their stories, and that we're crafting these stories. And I don't know, it's just so there's a lot to take away from this episode. I think that I'm gonna probably just reflect on it as it gets premiered. I'm just gonna just watch it over again, and then I'm just gonna like, oh wow, like that's great. And I'm gonna, it's just so many things that are just like that have been discussed today. And I think that I'm just gonna take with me. I'm not sure how long I will, until my days are over. But I'm probably going to take a lot from this, and I have a lot to share with my peers. I have a lot to share, with people around me. And yeah, there's a lot to take from this. So I appreciate being on this podcast. I appreciate being invited. I'm so thankful that you were there at the book signing. I'm so thankful that I got to meet you, Wendell, because this experience has just really opened up a lot for me. And I think it's really affirming to see this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm about. And I think it's just affirming that reality that I'm going to have, that I am having. And I think that it speaks volumes to why I started, why, I don't know. It's a transformative experience for me. So I'll say that.
What about you, Kevin?
Yeah. The world is an interesting one. Anxiety is a superpower hidden in disguise. Once you realize it can be a friend.
Yeah.
100%. Moving forward into the intended goals is also it's very strategic, right? It's having an aim and being open to what comes around. You don't have to be rigid, right? Rigidity is that kills the creativity. 100% kills the creativity. If you don't utilize the resources around, right? Because that's what creativity is, right? How'd you get clay from dirt?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. I think for me, it's we need to first and foremost have Taniyah back whenever she wants. That's for sure. She's freaking amazing. So
thank you. Oh my God. Wow.
You're a rock star, Taniyah. And Kevin, I'm pretty sure Kevin is gonna tell me off camera. It's exactly that. But my major takeaway is, let's consider the fact that the acts of bravery that this young lady has taken for herself and in her life has broadened the path of all these multiple paths that she can take. And today she's here. And although when I first met her, I saw a shy young lady, but as you can see, look how eloquent she is. Look at her true self. Even when she's facing adversity and she could be nervous, this is a real act of bravery. She doesn't look for immediate gratification. She works for the things that are the most valuable in her life. And my major takeaway about this episode is how Kevin and Taniyah were able to talk about their vulnerability, their experience with anxiety, but how they were able to not only cope, because in psychology, everyone's let's just cope. No, let's embrace. Let's make this part of us. Let's build something from it. And then once we build it, let's keep adding layers to even construct something even bigger. And that's one thing, my major takeaway about Kevin and Taniyah being so young and understanding this emotional intelligence. And I do want to ask you tonight, if there's a part 2 of your book or you write another book, we will love to have you as an exclusive to publish your book online. We would love to have you as a guest. If you like this podcast a lot, we definitely have a lot of guests. If you ever want to be a secondary guest, please don't, all you have to do is just text me. You have my phone number.
Yep.
So,
Thank you.
You've been completely amazing. You have such a brilliant future ahead of you, just like Kevin has. And I'm so proud of seeing 2 different generations building themselves up with humility, but also with the consistency and the ambition to want to do more. But you guys want to do more because you love, not because you're just ambitious about just being ambitious. You're doing it because there's something in you. There's that self-love. It's trying to embrace a community, reach out to build something that at this moment, we don't even know what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be great. So So that's all I can say, because I can't tell the future.
He blows our mind, man. Like Windows, like
Yes,
you haven't all before. She was a bomb, but like
No, Autumn. So
Yeah.
Autumn is Kevin's girlfriend, and
uh-huh.
she is. You and her would have been like me and
Oh
Kevin
my
would have got
gosh.
out of the cameras already.
Uh-huh.
You guys would have. Autumn is amazing, and we miss her tremendously. But I always wish her the best. And thank you so much, Taniyah, for being with us. I would definitely, if we have ever an episode that you will be interested in being a second guest, what would that topic be like?
Hmm. I definitely think that anything circling around like mental health and also psychology, like I feel like I can really grow from learning more about psychology, and anything circling around mental health, I'm here for it. Yeah.
Cool. So I will reach out to you, Taniyah. And like I said, whatever makes it easy for you, we can do it live, we can do it virtual, whatever's easier for you. I know you go to school. There's
Yeah.
a lot of responsibilities with that. So, but thank you so much. And remember, at the Ethicsville podcast, we do explore human experiences. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. But more importantly, if you learned something from this episode, will you be willing to teach somebody else what you learned? But when you do it, are you going to ask them questions afterwards to see if they were really able to understand what you understood? And will you be patient enough to teach them what they couldn't understand from what you told them? Because that's the key of mentorship: patience and love. And with that, we leave our episode today. Kevin, thank you. Taniyah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank
Um,
you.
thank you.
And let's remember, let's continue to walk in faith, and let's continue to dare to explore more human experiences in our next episode. Thank you so much. Help us continue to embrace these human experiences and explore more about ourselves and others by just subscribing. If you like our content, definitely like, comment, share it. But also, if you want to be part of our podcast, all you have to do is leave a comment and tell us what you want to talk about. Remember, this is the platform for the people, and we're here to explore those life experiences that are very unique to you and to everyone else. Don't forget to subscribe.